Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Which one am I looking at? So I'll start with that one. I finally finished my log pile pillow. I started this last fall after I learned how to crochet in the round, making those frisbees. The thought occurred to me that if I used the right colors, I could make it look like the cut end of a log. So I made a bunch of those. Then I got stuck because I didn't know what to do with them. Because in trying to attach them, I didn't know how to fill those spaces in. So I set it aside, looked on YouTube, and then I finally figured out a way to do it, but I don't consider that easy. From there, it was just working my way back to the easy way to accomplish this. So once I decided I was just going to put it onto a pillow, it made it much easier. Make the rounds and attach them to a piece of flannel, and then attach that flannel to a pillow. So stay with me and see how I put this together. This entire piece is done in single crochet. So gather your yarn, whatever neutrals you have, tans, creams, grays, black, brown. I also used a J-hook because we're looking for a nice tight round like you would see in tree rings. We start with the magic circle. Wrap around your top 2 fingers. Come between your 2 fingers and pull up a loop. This is the hardest part because you have nothing to hold on to. We're going to make a loop. See how I've moved that to my fingers? I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. There's our starter. The starters for all the circles are done with 6 single crochets into the magic circle. So here's our circle. We're going to be putting stitches around these 2 strands. The first couple are the hardest because there's nothing to grab onto, but let me show you. For our first one, go under, yarn over, pull up. Now watch how I move my thumb just to hold that and pull through. There's your first one. I'm going to do that again. Into the circle, pull up a loop. See how I move my thumb to hold it? 2. We're going to make 6. Once you've completed 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to close it now, you will just pull the tail. Pull it slowly, and you'll see the circle pull tight and close up. And now we'll just slip stitch to join these 2 stitches together. It's right in here. And slip stitch. There's our beginning circle. So, in any circle that you'll start, the second round will automatically be double the stitches that you started with. So in this case, we made 6, so we're going to now have 12 stitches in this next round. We'll be putting 2 single crochets in each of the stitches all the way around. Now for my smaller rounds, I could have changed color right here if I wanted just the little tiny log. But to go bigger, like this, you can see I did a couple of rounds of cream. So let me do one more round in cream. So go ahead and do 2 single crochets in each stitch, and I'll meet you back around. Once you've come back around, again you're going to slip stitch in that last one to pull together. There's your center ring. I can also close this up even tighter now. I can tighten that all the way. I'll weave that in at the end. You can see how that makes a nice tight little circle. I could do another round to make a bigger log, or I can change color. So I'm going to drop this color. As you're working with your neutrals, if you look at an old weathered out tree stump or log, it starts lighter and the colors get darker as you go out. As you get bigger, the next rounds we will put 1 single crochet here, and in the next stitch we'll put 2. We will increase. So there will be 1 regular stitch between each increase. 1, the next stitch has 2. And each successive round will be like that. So go ahead and put 1 single crochet in one, 2 single crochets in the next, all the way around, and I'll meet you back. Once you've come back around, I'm going to slip stitch those together. And to finish off, you don't always have to add a color here. If you're going to do the bigger rounds, I would suggest that you pull that through and then start your hook in a different place. It'll keep from having the seam all in one spot. For this last round, I'll do a line of gray. You can see here, I'll leave that one. I can crochet over the top as I go or weave it in later, but I'm just going to start in a different spot. I'll start over here. Now remember the one just before we had one single crochet and then an increase. Now we'll move over two regular single crochets in each one, and then we'll do an increase. Every successive round adds one more space between the increase. So go ahead and do your 2 single crochets, do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back. And once you've come back around, again you're going to finish it off with a slip stitch. You just keep going until it's the size that you're looking for. So for the pillow, I made various sizes so that it would give the effect of a log pile. These are easy to do and quick. You can just complete one in just 10 minutes and just set them aside till you've gathered enough for the size of pillow that you're looking for. So you can see here all the different sizes. And now it's just a matter of attaching to whatever medium you're looking for. If you wanted to put this onto a throw, you could crochet around the edges right onto a throw. On my larger pillow, I did do a free-form stitch in between. I will not include that in this video because that is considered a more advanced crochet stitch where you're free-forming the stitches in between. But the easy version of this now is I could just attach these right onto the pillow with my sewing machine or by hand. You can see I've taken pins and put them together so I can see that the layout's what I want. And I would just use a dark thread and stitch this all the way around to attach that to the pillow. Or you can also take this same idea and cut a piece of felt, lay your images on top of that, and stitch it down to this. Once you've got it attached, you can then go to the back side and cut away the felt since it doesn't fray, and then attach it to a pillow or a blanket or whatever your backer is. I like the idea of the dark color behind just for the shadows. I'll get my machine out and stitch around a few so you can see what that looks like. So I've attached one. I'll do another one here in a minute. You can see I've got double pins. The safety pins are actually holding the separate pieces together, and then I've pinned each circle down to the felt. You want to set your machine to a wide stitch, almost a base stitch. And you can see what I did here is I ran my machine right along that last row. Not on top to the edge, right down in here. This edge is still loose. So let me start another one and you can see that. And again, you'll just use your finger. Just be sure to hold it down so that your yarn doesn't catch on your presser foot. And you just go right along those edges, taking your pins out as you go. That's why it's easier to sew this to the felt. If I was putting it on my entire pillow, I'd have a lot more fabric underneath here. But as far as speed, this is going to be your fastest and most secure way of attaching it. Again, once you've come around, just cut your threads. And now I'll cut away the edge so you can see how close you can get the cutaway. And the reason that I left that outer edge is because I want that dimension, but it's also going to be when I go to attach this down to the pillow. I'll be able to kind of roll this back and I can machine stitch right along these edges, and then this will fold back over top of it, or if I choose to do that by hand. So now you can see these two are attached, and I can go back with my scissors. And I'm just going to go into that peak. I've gone all the way around, and I will show you why on the larger rounds, because it's loose and can stretch, it'll tend to have a little mound look to it. So just on those, I would go around somewhere in that center just to hold it. Again, just pick one and stay in the ditch. And now that entire round will stay nice and flat, and that center won't tend to pop up. Again, just use a really wide base stitch, and if you stay in one of those ditches, in one of the rings, you won't be able to see the stitching. If you wanted it entirely invisible, you would just do that by hand. So go ahead and give this a try. It's good practice for single crochet and for practicing in the rounds. It gives stitching in the round a whole new look by making it look like a cut log. Look how that turns out. That's awesome. Once all these edges are cut away, all you'll see is the rounds with the dark shadows in between. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe.